Okay, so um, this is going to be a discussion about how Greens can have a seat at the political table. And after I do my spiel, we are going to have a chance at discussing this and how we can ensure that we make this a more um, palatable way to do so. So this came about um, as we're going through the political season and seeing different states, how they go about doing their social media, actually, and seeing how they're pushing their candidates different ways. And I saw have, just by showing a raise of hands, has anybody heard of the New Jersey 13? You can either raise your hand or just raise it virtually, however you want to do it. The New Jersey 13. Yeah. Okay. So this is what we're seeing. Some of us have heard of the New Jersey 13, some of us haven't. And some of the states around New Jersey have people running, some of them don't. Some of them like have candidates that are there. But the thing about it is, we can, as a national GPUS, we can all get together and think about the candidates that we have that are running and understand that as a party, we need to be boosting all of our candidates and thinking about what that looks like. People often say, when I go up to them and say, "Oh, I'm a party of the Green Party," they say, "I've never heard of the Green Party." And we have to start thinking about why that is, why people don't know what the Green Party is. And then thinking about how we take a seat at the political table, we have to start letting people know that we are here and we aren't just here during the political season. So if we're trying to do that, that means not only pushing during a political season, that means pushing everything that's going on at all times as much as possible whenever we're doing something as one. So that means if your state or your county or anybody is doing something and you see it, and we're doing something on social media, if your county, state agrees with what that party is doing, push it on your social media. For instance, South Carolina or Charlotte, sometimes in North Carolina here, we will be doing a march or we'll be doing something for social justice and we'll put it out on Twitter. We've seen that they will retweet what we're doing. They're not even in our state, but they will put that stuff out. And the reason that I point that out is because it lets other people know we're still doing something. There's still other parties out there. And that puts it out that there's something in the Carolinas. So if you see a party that is on the East Coast and we're doing that, that lets East Coast people know there are parties on the East Coast. So now you have that credibility on the East Coast going. When you start doing that also on the West Coast, when you have all the way from Washington State down to California, when you have those parties doing that, you also get that credibility going on there. When you have the parties in the middle of the states doing that, you have that same credibility going on there. And then it becomes no longer, okay, there's no green parties going on. Now it comes, oh, the green parties are really doing something all the time. So when it starts to say, okay, the green parties everywhere are doing something all the time, not just during the elections. Now, when it starts coming down to the elections, Now we have candidates. And so now we get back to the New Jersey 13 that we were talking about earlier. So if your state doesn't have anybody running in that particular state, that doesn't mean that you, as a Green Party member, or if your state that doesn't have anybody in that particular state running for that year, that doesn't mean that you can't boost those members in that particular state around you to your social media friends or followers, because you don't know who your friends or followers might have in their circle that might know somebody in New Jersey. And I'm bringing up this because I'm bringing it to a head right here. For instance, myself, I have friends and family that live in New Jersey. So for me, um, boosting what was going on in New Jersey was a big deal for me because of my friends and family that live in New Jersey. So me putting that out on my social media allowed them to know, hey, there is a Green Party that is active in New Jersey, and they have people that are running in New Jersey. So it allowed them to say, oh, I didn't know that. Let me look into it. And oh, I like that person. That's really cool. Now I can vote for them. And this is how we gain that more palatable seat at the table, by allowing us to get out there on social media and say, hey, we're not just here at this one time, we're here all the time. And also, we have candidates everywhere, and we can make a difference everywhere at all times. And when we do this, we are going to be able to say, okay, we're making a difference. And that's a lot of the critiques that we get that we only show up during election time. So when you have the evidence to back up, we don't just show up during election times. We're here for each other all the time. We're always boosting each other from coast to coast. We're boosting each other. And we have the ballot access, which we have been fighting for. We can show that, we can say that. And we're doing the actual work. We're not just um, sitting on our behinds and not just doing anything. We're here out in the community making things work. We're actually putting the effort in to do the mutual aid that a lot of people are talking about, because that is something that a lot of our parties are actually doing around the states. I have seen it, the community organizing that we have been doing to get the mutual aid done. Um, and that's really important for people to see. We are rallying and doing it with other community organizations, a lot of which other parties aren't doing. And that's the grassroots humanitarian part of us that we really um, have to boost and let other people see that we are doing. And by sharing that, letting other people know this is what the Green Party is all about. So when we put that out there, we share that with each other and we boost that to each other. We can now have that footing to say, we are one, we are doing this. So, how do we do this? Is now the question that we have to ask ourselves, because sometimes we don't always agree, and we know that. Um, there is always something that one state does that another state doesn't want to do. And it's quite simple. If you see something that you don't want to share, you don't have to share it. But that doesn't mean you have to um, go remark about it or anything like that. And that's something that we see that's very simple. Um, we have nationalists and we do different things, and we have our bylaws, and our bylaws say certain things that we can and cannot do. But as far as social media is concerned, um, we don't have to attack each other out loud. That is a very simple, common thing, common courtesy thing that we don't have to do, because attacking each other is not going to help us. If you don't like something that another state is doing, attacking them in a public forum is not going to help them. We know how to get in contact with each other. We know how to help each other in a different way. But social media is definitely not the way to do so. We have delegates. We could talk to the delegates and they can go talk to their respective co-chairs and do that. But going on an attack on social media is definitely not the place to do so. If you are being the social media person for your state or your county or however you're representing them, that is definitely not the place to attack anyone. If you can't do something positive, I think the saying is if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. That is the space that we want to do this at. We don't want to be negative in any way, shape, or form because that's just not what we're here to do. We all know that we're not always going to agree again, but we do not have to do anything negative. We want to remember where we're starting from. We're starting from our 4 pillars and our 10 key values. That's where every party should be doing things from. And if you see something, you know where you can go to talk about it. And so we want to remain in that same space and in those same values. So okay. So we want to also think about that when we're going into these things because we all do know we can have a lot of things going on at a lot of different times, especially during campaign seasons and things like that. Especially when there are so many different things going on in the world. Everybody has an opinion. And we also have to remember that sometimes there are personal opinions that happen when people are running different media campaigns that might not necessarily be the opinion of the party themselves. We have seen that happen as well. So that's why we don't want to do personal attacks on social media or do any kind of attacks. We have channels that we can go to. So again, keep that in mind. Let's not go on the defense on social media because we can and we do have channels. We have delegates and things like that. So let's remember that before we start attacking on social media because we don't want to seem like we are not united in any way, shape, form, or fashion. Okay. That is one thing that we do need to remember. And I just wanted to really, really, really make that a big point because we've seen other parties tear themselves apart on social media and it does them no good. But they can take the storm because they're bigger parties. We're not a bigger party enough where we could take all of that. And that's just my opinion. We have enough people coming in to fight us all the time. And we don't have enough people to fight on social media with us. So it's it's not needed. We shouldn't do it. And it's better for us to remain positive and not fight each other. That being said, um, the way that we handle how we disseminate information is another way. Say, for instance, let's go on the West Coast. Um, Somebody from California is running for office, and there's nobody running in Nevada. So if nobody's running in Nevada, but they want to get some information out to the people in Nevada for more exposure, why would we want to do that? Well, of course, funding. But why? Because we're grassroots. And you might say, but Why does my funding from Nevada matter to somebody from California? Well, we all do this out of the kindness of our hearts. You can be in Nevada and phone bank for somebody in California. You could be in Nevada and give $5 to somebody in California for their campaign. It wouldn't matter. We're all green. And if that helps that person get into office, that's why it would matter. Also, if you know somebody in Nevada and they know somebody in California and you help them get somebody that volunteers, that's why it would matter. You don't know how far your reach could be. So, this is why it's important to get the word out there to as far and as wide as possible. So, we do these things because that person that might be in Nevada might know somebody in New York who knows somebody in California. It doesn't matter how widespread it gets. What matters is the word gets out there. The information, it spreads like wildfire. We all know that word of mouth is the best way to get things out there. And now, word of mouth is social media. Social media spreads like wildfire. We have too many ways for social media to spread like wildfire. You have Facebook, you have Instagram, you have Threads, you have X slash Twitter, you have TikTok, Discord. It list goes on and on and on and on. So, with all of these ways to have word of mouth, why not use all of those platforms to be able to disseminate that information? So if you're able to do so, use it. And with doing that, we don't want to have all of these different avenues. We want to try to have at least one. So when thinking about it, I'm going to ask this question later and we're going to discuss it. So think about it now. Does your state, county, or caucus have a media person? Because we're going to talk about it in just a minute. And the reason I'm going to ask that is because in this example that I just gave you about the person running in California and needing to disseminate this information, how does that person in California get the information to the person in Nevada so they can spread that information? Because the person in California may only use Instagram and Facebook, but the person in Nevada may use TikTok and they may use Discord. So if you're using different types of platforms, how do you ensure that you're able to get that information readily available to use on different platforms? And also, how can we, as media, ensure that we are able to use resources together? Because somebody in New York or somebody in Georgia, now that we have Georgia, might be able to create something that is able to be used in a faster time than somebody in Wisconsin. Who knows? So we want to be able to use our resources in a greater manner. So in doing so, what is the best way to do that? So if you thought about if your state, county, caucus has a media person, also think about what is the best way to get this done. Would they have um, a group chat? Would they have a email that they all get together? How would this get done? So now that I've done my big old spiel, this is how our discussion is going to go. Yay! So, first question, like I said, you think about it, does your state, county, caucus have a media representative? You can raise your hand to answer, you can answer in the chat. Nasim says yes, and she is a California PNC delegate. Cassandra. She
Hi,
raised.
I am I am one of a small team of people handling a Facebook page, a Google group, and um, also a website for Nassau County, New York. And I am in charge of the web committee of Green Party of New York, um, which has presences on so many platforms. I probably can't list them all, but we have an empty TikTok. We haven't used it because we have no one young enough to knows how to do it yet, but we reserved our name. We have an Instagram. We have a Facebook group. We have a Facebook page. We have a formerly known as Twitter. And I look at that every night and try to add things. And I know we have a Discord. I just joined it against my will. Uh, it's too cartoony for me. Um, I know we have others. I think we have our name reserved on Threads, but we haven't used it. Um, that's it. Over.
All right. Elizabeth says, our spokesperson with press requests and questions, cagreens.org/news. So some people do have a contact person or a media person. Okay. So what do you think would be the best way for all of our media people? Well, before I ask that, so for our North Carolina Green Party, we do have a media, what is it, chair. We have a media chair, and our media chair right now is Janie Akiri, and that would be who all of our requests would go through. So yeah, and we have TikTok, we have Instagram, Twitter/X, Facebook. I think we have, do we use Discord? I know we have, but I don't know if we still use Discord. Hmm, yeah, I think that's about it. Not sure. Yeah, I'll leave it at that. So now with all of these different things, and some people having this and some people not having that, um, how would it be for all the different states, caucuses, and counties to be able to best use these different avenues to communicate? If I wanted to send a flyer out and I'm putting it on my Instagram, but I wanted a lot of people to be able to put it to, let's say, 6 different states. How do I contact those 6 different states and let them know? What's the best way to do so? Elizabeth says the communications committee is charged with facilitating all GPCA external communications such as broadcast, media, press, social media, and inquiries. Okay. And she has put the information in there, californiagreens.org, communications. All right. So we have that from the California Greens. So is there, so we have that from the California Greens. So that is a good thing to have. If we had something like that from all the states, it might be good, but do we know if we have that from all the states? And there lies the eventual gridlock. Go ahead, Cassandra, and then we'll have Nasim.
I don't mean to dominate the conversation, but I would love to see someone, anyone can do it, start a Google spreadsheet lifting by state and caucus and county and whatever of just all the accounts that all the Greens have in some official way, rather than just independent uh, people, independent persons accounts, but the official county, state, caucus, etc. accounts, and just have them organized by geographical area with caucuses. Caucuses can go at the top or the bottom, and alphabetically arranged, and then just Instagram and the address, Facebook and the address, and so on. We subscribe to as many neighboring or neighboring states or any accounts that we see that are Greens, official Greens, and we will like retweet or share information as appropriate. But I don't really know, like if I wanted to find someone in Illinois, I'd start looking for the Green Party of Illinois website and see if they had a media person, but it would be nice to just be able to look at a spreadsheet and find out where those people are.
I'd
Over.
be willing to do that. I'd be willing
Oh,
to put
yeah?
that together. I'm a retired educator. I mean, that's what I do. Maybe there's that can you still want to donate, or if someone wants to work with me, I can put a Google form together and send it out, because I'm here in California and we've got to do something. I mean, we are going to sink into the ocean because of the greed and the lack. And I build community gardens, free community gardens. So my nonprofit that I'm building is called eLife Victory Garden Schools. So if you have we want to make sure that as the population grows, that we balance it out with access to free organic food, because whatever I can do. So if I'm here in California, so I've got the whole West Coast, right, which are pretty green. So I would be willing, and I want to reach those connections as well, because California, if anybody doesn't know about Victory Gardens, some of you are young, but after World War II, there was just like we have now, and we shouldn't have to pay for food, but if you had an empty space, we would have to turn it into a community garden to feed the community. So I would be willing to do that. I'm the president of my club. I'll put my email in there.
All right. Thank you so much. Thank you so very much. Nasim?
Hi there. Thank you so much. And Deborah, I'd be delighted to work with you with our own communication, with our own state's communication team. I dropped in where contacts have been listed on the gp.org. So that's another place where, unfortunately, if there's a change or an update or someone needs new information, it's the state's responsibility to try to contact GP US. And it doesn't always happen. We don't remember always to do that. So that would be a really great list if you're interested, Deborah, to audit and make sure that those links are working and they're updated. And then the big work would be to try to contact whoever and ask them if, send us new contact information. But I've used that resource before, and I love that GPUS actually did that, because I have reached other parties, state parties, and representative and their social media using that. On social media, we try to follow. Unfortunately, we don't have an X account in California. Our last media person walked away with our key, and we have not established the new one. But that's another problem to have is that either intentional or not, there are, there's turnover in who controls social media accounts. And repeatedly, we see that in different state parties and county parties in our own state where the party loses access to one of their assets. And that's where they have a lot of followers and they have to start from scratch again. That's happened to a couple of our counties before, where our communication team has to help them establish new ones. So that's another issue I think to consider, is that always having multiple people who are longtime Greens having the full admin access to your social media accounts. I think it's a really interesting idea to try to collate that information, but I would definitely recommend, Deborah, that you connect with the media team at GPUS and help them update that list, because I know it's not complete. And please contact me. I'll drop my email as well. I'd love to work with you.
Thank you. That'd be great. Yes. And I've been working, we established ourselves, I'm a historian, so I am collecting these primary sources. And since we do have an election, it's appropriate to bring it up in the schools. They've kind of confused our children and called it politics. I said, no, this is history. So it comes in as historic. And so in Long Beach, well, actually in the county, they have, and you can look it up in your state or your local, to offer the students when they graduate from high school. I just applied to be a fellow at USC for the Teach Democracy movement. So the students can receive a seal of civic engagement on their diploma for getting involved. And so I'm going to try to start at the middle school level, and because they can register to vote at 16 and introduce, Green Party 101. Maybe it's, because it's not being taught in the schools, it's being broken up as 5th grade, 8th grade, 11th grade, but that's intentional. So we want our kids to get it and be able to create that Green Party club, that green, and we can start with those kids who have gardens clubs, or, what does it mean to be green? I mean, do you just plant, or do you live green? And do you vote green? Let's decide who you really are. So that's kind of my intention of the, where we're going to go with it.
Okay. I like that. So now that we know that there is a place for us to actually see all the social media accounts, we still have the question of, how do we get the people to communicate with each other? Because if we, like I said, so for instance, if they have Instagram, like this California has Instagram, but South Carolina doesn't use Instagram, and this is hypothetical. They only use, let's say, Twitter. Is there like do they email? Like, how do we want them to communicate? What is the basis of how all of these states' media communicate with each other? What is a good way for everyone to be able to communicate with each other? Because as we discussed, the media teams can, turn over very quickly. So what do we think is a good way for these states to be able to do so? Does it run through GPUS, or do the states need to come together and say, here's a way for us to be able to do this, so all the states can run things past each other really quickly? Does there need to be like a way for all the states to be able to email each other something really quickly? Do they need to be able to have something for like the media teams to be able to email each other very quickly? Because if something is going on and we want something to go out, because I know that on Twitter, there is a Twitter group, and they have say, hey, I just tweeted this. Can you all go say something about it? But that only helps if you're on Twitter. If you're not on Twitter, that's not going to help you get anything. And so it's the same thing for Instagram, and it's the same thing for Facebook. So how is it going to help? Like if you're on TikTok, if you're on different, you know, platforms, what is the thing? How is the main connection going to happen? And that's where we need to go from here. Like if there's a flyer that needs to be shared on all platforms that you have available to you, how can that one flyer be sent from one caucus, county, state party to every state party, caucus, or anywhere else? How can it be sent to everywhere all at once without, having to go through all these hoops and loops? What is something that can be done? Anybody got any suggestions there?
I think I like the idea of, it appears to me, to keep each caucus, each group needs to have an X person, a Facebook person, separate for each social media, so that way they know they can get it out together. I think a set for each, there should be one main, Facebook people are Facebook and they blast. There should be a blast center out, X out. And that way within hour, like if I have my group in California, start my little chapter here in Long Beach, I want a Facebook person. I don't want the social media doing all, because that's too much. It should be Facebook focused, right? I don't know. What does anybody think? Categorizing it.
Okay. Orlando, I saw your hand.
Yeah, I echo what Deborah said. I think if we just have, because I be on social media a lot, dealing with rappers, entertainers, celebrities, and I agree if we have one designated person, but that one person have to communicate with that one person in that caucus or that state by phone. So a lot of people don't communicate by phone, so the information is spread. But I think one most important thing is we need to find out for safety. Who are we getting to manage this? We have a lot of Democrats that's infiltrating, and they're going to send out a lot of different information. Where you going to have people that have their own agenda to use the algorithm to support. But the vetting process, but at this crucial stage, especially as us being the younger generation, we got to watch out for COINTEL from serious. Oakland politics. They got issues against the district attorney, the mayor recall. So I think if we build a trust relationship with each other, I think if we go to the grassroots of getting information, coming out there flying, everybody put $100 together. Let's come together. Let's go to NC. Let us start sitting down, because the emails and the text messages worse than something. Oh,
Okay. So what I'm hearing is there needs to be some type of media summit. Okay. Kitten, you had your hand up.
yes.
Hi, Kitten.
Hey, how are you guys doing? All right, so
Love the name.
thank you. So I recently graduated with my master's in human resource management. So this is kind of like something that stirs my gooses, I guess. It gets me going. Each state, in my personal opinion, each chapter should have someone who's managing the media. And managing the media, there's several different apps, like Hootsuite is one that I use. And I program all of my social medias into Hootsuite. And then I'll go through, and if I see something, an awesome Green Party US ad, I'll screenshot it, upload it to Hootsuite, and Hootsuite will send it to all social media platforms for me. And I can time it that way as well. So there's several apps that can connect all your social media to one app, or to one program, to where it's easy just to input the information once and it goes to where you need to go. As far as getting it to, say, from Washington to California, if it's really good and I'm like, hey, I just put this on, you guys might want to bump this too. I personally think that we should do something like a step down. So we have each chapter has a media person. I know the state of Washington has Scott, who does our media. And then if Scott were to connect, say on Slack or Discord or something to where you could share, you know, posts that we personally post back and forth, he can post it there, and then the 50 other states or representatives can see it and say, yeah, we're going to run with this. If that's too much, we can always go with, okay, these 4 states have a director, a social media director, who coordinates with the state social medias coordinators. So a step down might actually be beneficial to make sure that everybody gets the information, if that makes any sense.
Makes sense.
I would hire you. I say we hire her. It sounds like you can, that's exactly what we need to do. So let's get, you somehow these pieces. So I'm making a note of who's the gifts and talents. I think somehow we're going to come together and figure this as one. I know for me, what's rolling through my head, Kitten, just like you, is the students. If they can volunteer, it's part of their history. Get them to work, volunteer, get them to look at the issues, there's certain things to do so that we can get the foots on the ground, and then get them to, we are the elders getting that message out, but I like go into the schools, and then maybe these kids can help with the social media too, as like a project. Something like at the college level, like the junior college level, somehow where they can get credit. And I know the workshop before, I think it was Chris, it's like sometimes we have to think outside the box. So maybe you could, if somebody knows a professor who maybe they're working on political science, maybe they need some credit. So maybe they can do that social media for you. And then there's an agreement. Any data belongs to the group, and then you don't risk them stealing it, because I think that's what's happening. As I see, we get these people working for us and then they go. Well, they took everything with them. So we have to be like I think it was Orlando, our privacy. I agree with you too. Thanks.
Okay. Well, I think that we do have a media team at GPUS. And it seems that there might be a chance and an opportunity for some of the states and caucuses and counties to be able to get together for a summit with the GPUS media team, and for all of this to be a collaborative effort to get this done. And I think that that would be a really good venture, um, for all of these ideas to take place. And maybe if it did happen, um, maybe every 1 to 2 years, for everybody to check back in, because I think that, um, as media goes, things change, things happen, and having the ability to have people be more well versed in media, um, having people that are coming into the media circuits, with other state parties saying, "Oh, I don't know how to do this," being able to come to those summits and get that experience and that exposure to be able to learn how to do those things, having those fresh ideas to be able to do that. I think that would be, something that other people will be looking forward to. Maybe even in the annual conventions, something like that, when we do those. What do you guys think? Seeing some head
100%.
nods.
That would be, and a summit, social media summit with teachings of how, we can connect the social medias together and stuff would be beautiful. I love that idea.
Yeah, and I really like that idea, because then we have time to bring in maybe some high school students. I know here at Long Beach City College, they just put in a whole media area. Like we can have, if we, we could do it, have it be a project. I'm still a credentialed educator. I can write them a letter of recommendation. So then they get the seal. So my credential's still good till 2026. And so also bringing in, I was at USC, so I'm applying to be a fellow for their Teach Democracy. So I'm trying to do an after school program, boom, because I don't know how many of you, but I worked for 25 years in Long Beach Unified. And I said, if any institution, an educational institution is receiving federal funds, they must have a Constitution Day.
Mm, okay.
You look that into your local area, Constitution Day. They're supposed to have it. That's September
Mhm.
17th coming up. So that's a good time to talk about voting, cast your vote. You can register at 16. So part of my club, the Women's Education Circle for Democracy Long Beach, is we have our legislative group, right? The Peace Builders. So that's kind of, we're going to use that civic engagement, and then they're going to get a letter from me. So if someone wants to use my curriculum, contact me. I can help you. We can look in your state.
That sounds awesome. And this is how we start the discussion on where we can build, how we can build, and we don't just, separate ourselves into these little niches of, oh, my state party this, my state party that, my caucus this. We start building so we can have our seat at that political table. And we don't even want to have, their seat. We want to build our own table. We want to have our own seats. We want the table. It's ours because they have just burned the table down. They're burning the world as it is. We want a green world. We want
Fine.
it's right, right. We're gonna have to build a new table. We're gonna have to build new chairs, and we know that at this point in time. So this is what we're trying to do. And while we're trying to do it, we need to unify. We need to unite. We want to show everyone we're not just here to be disruptors, as they say, every 4 years. We're not here to divide the vote. We are here to unite the people. We are here to show you you have more than two choices. We are here to show you you don't have to do the lesser of two evils. This is what we are here for. And this is where we can start. This is a small area of where we can start going on lives with each other, from different states to say, hey, how are you doing over there on your side of the world, and doing different things like that. We've had people who go to other countries from the Green Party, and we can showcase that, and say, hey, we have other Green parties in other countries, and we work together with those Green parties, and we can showcase that, but we don't. And why is that? Um, Elizabeth asks, is this convention posted on any social media, not on LinkedIn? Elizabeth, I believe it is, but I am not 100% sure. I think it's on Facebook. The I believe it's on Facebook, if I'm not mistaken. That is the only place that I am 100%, 99% sure. I'm not gonna say 100%, 99% sure it's on Facebook. That's the last place I saw. Um, not sure about anywhere else. But we want to get that information out there that we are here. We're not going anywhere, and we want to appeal to everybody. So if we're on all the platforms, like I heard Cassandra say that they have TikTok reserved in their name. Well, what can we do to make sure it's not just reserved in name? How can we help them, for the people who do have TikTok? How can we help them get their content posted up there? you know Reach out and say, hey, if you do a picture and make some voiceovers over it or whatever, how can we help to get that information out there to you know give them that way to get their TikTok up and running? What can we do to ensure that? Because I'm pretty sure, just like a lot of people, there you go. We don't know, a lot about algorithms. Everybody doesn't know how the algorithms run at every single platform. But if you do know something about an algorithm on one platform, help somebody else out. And if we can help each other out, because I'm pretty sure, the other parties, they're not twiddling their thumbs. they are definitely helping each other out. And if we want to be grassroots, that is a part of grassroots, helping each other out. And so putting one nail into one peg, building one table leg at a time, one chair at a time, and getting that done and taken care of. And that's exactly what we can do. We help each other. Yeah, we definitely help each other so that we can ensure that, you know, that TikTok is exploding by the end of the year. We want to make sure that every Green Party page has 1,000 followers. 'Cause we have over 1,000 Green Party members. There's no reason that any TikTok page that has a Green Party shouldn't have less than 1,000 followers because we have 1,000 Green Party members. If we have 1,000 Green Party members, why is there no ability for us to have less than 1,000 followers? There is no reason. So we should be able to do that because we can. If you have Instagram, if you have this, we should be able to boost each other because we can. That shows that we are dedicated to each other. It doesn't have to be your state, but you should know what's going on everywhere else. Charlie, go ahead.
Yeah, about in 2006, I got my first Twitter account. And at first, for the first 6 months, all I did was listen and follow. And, I think a lot of groups should really start out trying to get, one of every major account and have somebody who listens and follows other people, like-minded people, and get to amplify other people until they're comfortable to start promoting their own material. But you really learn a lot from listening to the other people who are already there. So I think rather than, try and do cross-platform communication, if you spend, say, eventually half your time in production and half your time listening, you'll really find that in almost all the medias, you can amplify who you want to amplify. And I know I just started a TikTok for an org recently. And first thing I did was to find like-minded people who would amplify what we were doing. And this was for a Pacifica radio station. And so, the groups that were associated with us were amplifying whenever we would post. And so that it's really encouraging once you have a community. So you can, if you can get a volunteer for all the different groups, you can have someone to monitor what's happening besides posting, because the monitoring is half as important as the posting. I use a aggregator system myself called Hype Fury. It does Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, all at the same time. But I can't really listen with it. I can post, but I'm not listening. So I want to see what other groups are doing that's being effective, because I can look and see how many reposts they're getting and how much they're being effective and what they're doing. And I can, if I like a graphic, I can grab it, screen grab it and do something with it if it's a really exceptional one. Or so, yeah, I would encourage really doing a lot of that instead of emailing each other, just listening, trying getting someone on each platform and listening.
Absolutely. We need that. And moderators when we go live. Elizabeth?
Hey, Charlie, can you do that right now? Can you, click on that link I have up there for TikTok, the Green Party's official TikTok account, and copy that wonderful graphic that they've got there that's for this convention, and connect with me on my LinkedIn, which I also put in the chat, and send it to me so I can comment on it or post it, please?
Sure, Elizabeth. Yeah.
Nasim said we are following every Green Party account on every platform, so routinely searching for GP accounts is a great way to find them. Susan said, sadly, the big parties don't want competition and they are not letting other parties in. Social media is our only chance. Nasim said, great points, Charlie. Please join us at GPCA Comms Committee. So yes, we are definitely dealing with a lot of pushback from the bigger parties because they know that they've been in business because they are a business at this point in time. We know they are not for the people, they are a business. So they are in the business to keep us away from being able to reach the people as much as possible. But we also know that if we continue doing the grassroots work, if we continue doing the humanitarian work that we've been doing, we don't have to do the gimmicks that they do. We don't have to play the game that they are playing. We just do what we naturally do. We are here for the people. We are doing what the people need. We are doing what the people want because that's what we are here for. We are guided again by the 4 pillars and the 10 key values. We are guided basically by humanity, and we are guided by doing what's right. So we don't have to play games or do any of those other things. And the more that that shines through by who we are, and I don't even like to call us a party, we are just people doing what people do, and that's doing great work. So the more we continue to do that and show that, and then do it cohesively, that cohesive work shows that we are doing something great. And the more we do that something great, we are going to show that. We the electoral arm of the people's movement, right? People helping people is powerful stuff, right? That is how we continue to make this movement something better for the people to see. So while we are continuing on that, I'm sorry, they were putting, so I just want to make sure I wasn't missing anything in the chat. While we're continuing on that and using social media to make sure that the people know that we are out there, this work is very important. And everything that we've said today, I think the most important part was what we talked about, getting together with GPUS and getting a summit together. I think that summit and making this something that we continue to do, the workshopping, maybe even getting, things done like seeing how Canva can be involved in it, seeing how different things, utilizing different people's skills to do skills classes and things like that, because social media is not going anywhere. And we all know that. And we need to be able to see how we can um, encompass that into letting other states and caucuses and counties and whoever is doing the media be involved in it. Because sometimes people don't do social media because they don't have anybody available to do it. And that lack of resources sometimes takes away from those parties or those positions being able to get out there. And so if we allow that to happen because we are giving them those resources here, then we blossom and we are all the better for it. So when we say, ain't no stopping us now, we're on the move, that's how we want to be. That's where we want to go. And we can broaden everything that we do by just ensuring that we have that light shining, that we have this going and going and going and going, but we have to make sure we're staying together. And I'm going to bring that point back home, that we are not being negative in our approach on social media. If you don't like something, you don't have to put it out there. Again, you can make sure we have delegates, we have state parties you can talk to. If something is going on, maybe they've been hacked, you do not know the best practice. As always, remember, we're green and we have our guiding principles. So let's just remember what's going on, go through different channels and say, hey, this is what's going on here. But we do not have to attack on social media. That's not who we are. If you don't like something, just move on. Or say something and let it go somewhere else for some on the back. You just don't have to attack on social media. We don't need to do that.
So I thank you, Kelly. But is it Kate Kalia? How do you pronounce your first name?
Kalia.
Kalia. If everyone wants to take a look, and I love that you're saying that, and I just want to really add, I put in the chat, it's from the King Center. So I built the garden at Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Park here in Long Beach back in 2010 with 15 youth from the city. But back last year, August 29th, with the 60th anniversary of the March on Washington. So through the King Center, I am a Dr. Kingian practitioner of Nonviolence 365. So I put the link in here so that you could go to the King Center. And so right now, they are running something called Building the Beloved Community. So we use love as our vehicle and the same thing. So these are things you can practice in your groups. That's what I'm going to introduce at my meeting, that nonviolence 365, and combine those with our principles, and they go hand in hand. So if you want to look to see how they flow, that's what I'm going to do, is taking the Green Party principles, the United Nations standards, and then the King, and see how they flow together. And I'm going to see how the kids, and say, how are they alike? How are they the same? And how do you want to walk? Got to walk your talk.
Absolutely. Naseem said creating content is also a challenge, and keeping a library of graphics, videos, and articles on gp.org could be a huge asset for all Greens on social media platforms. Kitten said on 8/31, she's hosting the first meeting of restarting Spokane's Green Party chapter, and we'll be setting up media accounts soon. Be on the lookout for us, as we'll be joining every GP account we find. All right. All right. So that is wonderful as well. So last thoughts. Does anybody have anything they want to say before I give my last thoughts as we're wrapping up everything here? We got about 7 minutes. Orlando?
Great presentation. Everything, all your information, where I broke it down. Charlie, Deborah, Judy, everyone, Elizabeth, the whole team that spoke. It was great therapeutic for me, myself. And let's use ourselves as an example and start the networking. I signed up to the Twitters, accounts, and so forth. So let's bridge that gap.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Anybody else? Well, alrighty.
I do. Sorry, I tried to like. So I'm just saying, I don't know what happened, but I have 2 granddaughters, and on October 31st, well, September 12th is my second granddaughter. She'll be 1. Last year is when I switched over to the Green Party on her birthday. And then on October 31st, I threw my letter of interest in to run for president under the Green Party. I don't know what happened. I didn't hear any from anybody. So I, supporting Jill. So I don't know how this all works, but by next year, as a First Nation woman, I want to see at this convention some youth. Let's get some youth. Let's get the kids. Let's get them mock voting. Let's get them. I mean, this is an election year. So we've got to get back, get that curriculum back in the schools. That's what's been taken out intentionally. So we got to get it back in. So that's what I'm all about. And Nasim, I can't wait to work with you.
I'll email both you and Charlie.
Awesome. I'm actually glad that we got to make some connections and that we're going to be able to move forward. I am going to submit to our GPUS media team about a summit and proposal here for what we can do so that we can try to move forward with what we were talking about, because I think this is very important for us to do, and it is good work. And I really appreciate everybody's thought process here because it does help us move forward. And as far as media is concerned, we know it's not going away. It's not just about social media, it's about every type of media, press releases, everything. Media is just more than we could ever have thought it was going to be. And even if you're just going to be speaking, in front of a gathering or something like that, we want to know about it. We want to hear about it because we want to celebrate our Greens for everything that they do, because it is important work. We do this stuff out of the kindness and the goodness of our hearts. So we want to just thank each other. We want to give each other grace for when we make our mistakes, because we're going to make them, and we want to congratulate you when you do great things. We want to give you the kindness that you deserve, and we want to give you that motivation to run for offices, or just that motivation to keep going when it seems like you're just getting all the pounding everywhere else. We just want to tell you it's okay to keep doing what you're doing in public and in private, because we know sometimes that the public can be a lot, and sometimes you need that private virtual shoulder to cry on. And this is how we do that. We continue to be in communication with each other, and we continue to support each other, and we continue to be there for each other. It's a lot sometimes, but it doesn't matter as long as we are being there for each other. Um, so I just want you all to know I really do thank you all for being here. I was very nervous. I don't know if you all could tell, but it was very great. This was my first cheese. This was my
You
first,
did a
and
great job.
thank you so, so very much. I really just wanted to make sure to get this message out there, because it's very important that we continue to walk the walk, talk the talk, and be the Greens that we set out to be. So I thank you all. I'm going to give you 2 minutes back in your day to get ready for what we have coming. Our opening act is actually going to be my son. And so the youth that you were talking about, it's coming. So yay.
Yeah, I'll take a screenshot if everybody wants to. We'll do a count of 3. I'll take a screenshot.
Okay.
Yeah, if anybody wants to turn their cameras on.
Okay, Kalia, you can do the countdown.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Can we
you,
get a replay?
Kalia, for
Replay? My camera got stuck. Can we do a
Okay.
replay?
retake,
Oh, yeah,
retake.
Retake.
Are we a little vain, Orlando? Come on, we're
Yes.
green. All right, here we go. Okay.
Okay,
all right.
okay.
Orlando's our handsome man from
I like
California.
that.
He's our best looking dude here.
All right. 1, 2, 3.
All right.
Thank you so much. Kalia, thank you so much for stressing the positivity. We deserve it because you're right. We work from passion, from our heart. We work because we love and we care, and we can't forget the love in our work every day. We can't forget what we're fighting for. So I really appreciate you and your stress on being positive and supportive and rising each other and lifting each other in every way we can.
Thank
And I
you.
love, yeah, thank you. And I love that you're being an example for the, I mean, that's what we have to be, it is example for the children. I mean, you know, Dr. King, when you look at the training, talks about the 3 evils, and you have those talking points to bring them out, and they join together. So I hope everyone checks that out, because I think one of the things is we all need to blend. It doesn't matter where we're at, we should sound the same.
Right.
Not like these other people who flip flop, and yeah, we don't want that.
Right. Thank you
Thanks,
so very
everybody.
much. Thanks. Y'all have a
Hoot and
great
holler. Thank
evening.
you.
See y'all later.
Bye.
Bye.